Hi, everybody. Welcome to BIMS TV and Happy New Year. My name is Rose Santana, and this is BIMS Bites. And today we're going to be taking a bite out of the Doomsday Glacier. Now, in order to do that, we need to travel somewhere that's fairly remote. Antarctica. Antarctica is Earth's southernmost continent inside of the South Pole. And penguins. Who doesn't love penguins? Now, it is a virtually uninhabited, ice-covered landmass. Nobody really lives here other than those who reside in the research stations that are scattered across the continent. One of them is McMurdo Station, which belongs to the US. Now, most of Antarctica is a polar desert, yet roughly 80% of the world's freshwater reserves are stored here. If it were to melt, it would be enough input to raise global sea levels by roughly 60 meters or 200 feet. That's scary. Which brings us to our current state. As it stands, Antarctica ice sheets contribute to sea level rise has nearly doubled within the last 2 decades. So if we can see here around the 2019 year, it kind of has just skyrocketed and it has shown no intention of slowing down. Now, this brings us to today's topic, the Thwaites Glacier, also known as the Doomsday Glacier. It's located in West Antarctica, right down there. You can see it with the little red dot that's on our map. It is unusually wide and large. In fact, it's roughly the size of the state of Florida. Imagine a giant piece of ice that big. Now, this glacier isn't just watched because it's pretty. It's watched closely due to its potential to raise sea levels extremely. In fact, since the 1980s, it has had a net loss of over 600 billion tons of ice, though the pinning of the Thwaites ice shelf, right down here, has slowed that process down significantly. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen the news lately or have read articles where the headlines are all Doomsday Glacier is coming for us all. It could change the way that Antarctica is structured. Let's talk a little bit about that. In actuality, it's not necessarily the Doomsday Glacier that's melting as quickly as we think, but it's the ice shelf. The Thwaites ice shelf is a floating ice shelf which braces and restrains the eastern portion of the Thwaites Glacier. So basically, it acts as a dam for the glacier, bracing it and slowing the melting rate, which is good because if all of it were to melt, it could lead to catastrophic events worldwide because the increase of freshwater outflow could lead to drastic sea level rise. We thought we had a lot more time, but it has recently been estimated to collapse within a decade of 2021, with some scientists even worrying that could happen as soon as 2026. That's kind of scary. So a lot of people have been screaming, are we all doomed? Is this the end? No. First, let's talk a little bit about why this is happening. Why is it melting, Rose? Great question. I'm glad you asked. First, we need to understand what is actually happening here. There are three major things happening here at the exact same time. One, the ice shelf is melting by the ocean. Warm currents are getting underneath of the shelf, causing large sections of ice to thaw and forming glacier caves. Now, this is actually pretty cool when you think about it, but it is causing a lot of other problems. Number two, the shattering of ice due to the structural integrity now being compromised. Because of the fact that these glacier caves are forming and this warm water is getting underneath the actual shelf, it's making the ice structurally unsound. So a lot of shatters and rips have been found in the ice on the surface. And all of this is culminating into losing the grip on the seamount. So it's detaching from the continental shelf, which is not a good thing to be happening. Now, I know many of you might be wondering, what exactly does this mean for us? I mean, with a name like Doomsday Glacier, it can't possibly be good, right? In fact, I'm going to predict that some of you are going to see something like this or think something like this is going to happen, and it's going to lead to this total devastation and chaos. Let's just take a moment to stop and think about this. Yes, the disintegration of the ice shelf could accelerate the melting of the Doomsday Glacier by about 25%, leading to global sea level rise by 4 or 5%. And if it completely melts, it could mean sea level rises of up to 2 feet. That does not sound good. However, and yes, the biggest problem with this is also the fact that it could inundate major low-lying cities like New York, Miami, Tokyo, and Maldives. I myself am from Miami, Florida, and we already struggle with sea level as it is. So an event like this could be catastrophic for the city of Miami. In fact, down here in this map right here, we see that by 2060, with a projected sea level rise of 3 feet, my house is completely gone. Now, let's take a moment to stop and actually just breathe about this. It's not all doom and gloom. It is predicted that even without the shelf, the glacier still wouldn't completely melt for many decades, if not centuries. So when we see, these 2 feet level of sea rises, it's not until the glacier melts, and it's not going to instantly melt. But yes, this should be a wake up call that something needs to happen. We can't wait for the ice shelf to collapse and then be like, oh, well, now we have to do something. We're at the point right now, we have the power to actually try to make an impact. We can't just keep pushing it off until next generation. The next generation will figure out how to deal with it. This is a wake up call, and we really should be worrying more about things like this. But in that sense, thanks for tuning in. Please follow, like, and subscribe Black and Marine Science on all of our social media handles. We constantly put out awesome new content about all things marine science. And if you have any other questions or would like to speak about this video or any other of the videos that I've made on different topics, feel free to contact me with any questions. Thank you guys so much. And in this case, you should stay frosty. Bye.